Sat out on a nice warm day and talked about the fact that you're going to go to the Amazon.
Yep.
Here we are 4 months later. How was it?
Incredible. It was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. It was really tough. It was difficult mentally and physically, but it was the experience of a lifetime. Incredible.
If you had to take away one memory from your time out there, what would that memory be?
Crossing the finish line. On the last day, actually there's two crossing the finish line. There was a long stage, which was 90 kilometres. Crossing the finishing line on that time was almost as memorable as crossing the finishing line at the end, to be honest.
So just to recap, you're out in the Amazon. Actually, what were you doing out there?
Running 222 kilometres through the jungle, through swamps, up hills, down hills, across plains, across the beach, through villages, carrying my rucksack, swimming through rivers, everything.
And how heavy was your rucksack?
About 11 kilos.
And the terrain, was the whole terrain what you expected?
The terrain was tough. You can't prepare for the terrain. I mean, that was one of the things I was quite naive on when I was training, because I was training round on the streets and that was fine, doing some incline stuff, but the terrain out there is unbelievable. There's vines all over the floor, so you're constantly tripping over, pulling muscles. I pulled a muscle in my leg, twisted my knee, which is still playing up now. The hills were so steep, it was tough, and with the backpack on and wet feet, because you're going through swamps, and some of the swamps are up to there, so you're completely soaked and trying to go up really steep hills and down steep hills. It was something you just really couldn't prepare your body for, and that was tough. So
the physical preparation we covered 4 months ago and what you were doing, but what about the mental? Did you ever really have to do any mental preparation?
Actually, no. That was what I was. That's one of my strengths anyway, because I went out there thinking, I'm going to do it. I know I can do it. The thing is, all I kept saying to myself is, as long as I can keep putting one foot in front of the other, eventually it might take me hours, it might take me days, it might, but I will get to the end. And that's all you have to keep thinking is, this isn't going to go on forever. Eventually I'm going to see the finishing line. Eventually I'm going to be sleeping in my hammock. So as long as you keep that attitude, then you can keep going, and that's all I kept thinking the whole way through.
So snakes, spiders, piranhas, see any of those?
Saw snakes, saw spiders, didn't see any piranhas. To be honest, when I was in the river, because you're swimming with a rucksack on your back, it's so difficult to try and keep your head above the water because the rucksack's so big and it's pushing down on your head, that all I was thinking about the whole time I was swimming was just keeping afloat. So actually when I was in the water, I didn't think about the piranhas, I didn't think about the caiman, I didn't think about any of the things that were in the river with me. I was just so worried about staying afloat. And when I saw the spiders and snakes, it was so late at night, and that was on the long stage, that I was so physically tired that I didn't care. I just looked at it and just carried on walking because I was so physically exhausted. It was the least of my problems.
And did you have a film crew with you?
There was lots of film crews there, yeah, because there were people from all over the world. There was lots of different film crews from different countries, yeah. So.
Did other people buckle?
Yeah, a lot. 129 people started and only 57 people finished. So a lot of, over 50% buckled and broke and didn't complete it. So.
And why do you think other people dropped out?
I'd say 90% of the people that dropped out is because they weren't mentally strong enough. Because if I looked at them, I'd say physically they could have completed it, but on the stage that they were at on the race, their mind wouldn't let them get to the end, because there was one or two that physically they were trying till they dropped, but their knees gave out. I mean, one person was hobbling along, they could barely put one foot in front of the other. One other person was suffering from foot rot, so some people physically, and then there was 4 people that got rushed off medically and got pulled out. But I'd say of the people that pulled themselves out, I'd have said 90% of them could have carried on, and it was just a mental aspect that stopped them.
So where do you go from here now, having achieved that? Have you got any other challenges in front of you?
No, the reason I did that was because I wanted because it's one of the hardest ultra marathons in the world. So I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. So there's a lot now that if I did, it would kind of be taking a step backwards, if you like. But I would like to climb a mountain eventually, but for now I want to settle down, get into teaching, and start home with my husband and my cats and stuff. And I've done that now, so that's quite nice.